Hi guys, Miss Joy's here. I am excited to be able to have some videos for you. Today's video is social studies. You guys know that we've done these books in class before. We did The Story of Pizza. You guys were able to follow along with your own copy and it was really fun. For this video, obviously, we are going to have me read it and you follow along. I wish you could have a copy yourself, but we're going to be flexible, right? School's different right now and you guys are all doing a fabulous job with being flexible and learning, right? Good job, guys. Keep it up. I checked in with you and you're all doing wonderful and I'm getting great reports back from your parents. So keep up the good work. We can make this be a special time even though we can't be together. Okay, we'll make the most of it. The next one we did in class was what careers interest you. You guys remember that one? It was really fun to hear what you guys want to be when you grow up. The next one was many kinds of homes. That was a great discussion that we had about what our homes look like and how they're all different. And I know now you guys are really kind of seeing different things. Every time you get on the FaceTime call or Zoom call with me, you're like, is that your house? Are you at your house? What room are you in? And so it's been kind of different. Different can be fun, right? You just have to understand that sometimes change is different, but it can be okay. We'll all do our best, right? So now we are going to read today, Special Talents, Extraordinary Lives. This is a biography. It's actually about 9 different people that we're going to learn about. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to read, you're going to follow along. It is by Kristen Cashore. And it starts out about special talents. The world has given us many talented people. Athletes have wowed us with their feats. Musicians and composers have given us beautiful music. Scientists have discovered wonders about our world. Great writers and artists have expressed their thoughts and feelings. What is it like to be a person who is especially gifted? It seems that it would be exciting and rewarding, but that's not always the case. In this book, you will read about 9 people. Some are from the past and some are living now. All of them have special talents, and as a result, all of them lived extraordinary lives. There's a picture here of an artist at work. Galileo Galilei is the first one. Galileo Galilei lived in Italy from 1564 to 1642. Galileo was a great thinker who worked in mathematics and the science of astronomy, and he was also a brilliant inventor. In 1609, Galileo was visiting Venice when he heard about a Dutch inventor. That inventor used lenses to make faraway objects look closer. Galileo used this idea and designed an instrument with powerful lenses. Today, it is known as the telescope. He used the telescope to look at the moon, the planets, and the sun. With his telescope, Galileo made an important discovery. He proved that Earth revolves around the sun. Sometimes a genius such as Galileo is also a pioneer, or the first person ever to do something. Before Galileo, no one had looked at the sun through a telescope, so no one knew that it was harmful to the eyes. That may have been why Galileo lost his eyesight. But being a pioneer also got Galileo into trouble with the law. In the 1600s in Italy, people believed that the sun revolved around Earth. Even though Galileo was right, hardly anyone believed him. Because talking about his discovery was against the law, Galileo was arrested. As punishment, he had to stay inside his house for the rest of his life. Ugh, that's a lousy punishment. Galileo was a genius who wanted his work to be understood. But because of the time in which he lived, Galileo's talents got him into trouble. Today, though, Galileo is a hero. His discovery changed the way that people think about our solar system. Galileo may have used a telescope similar to this one, and that's what the picture shows. And it must have been tough, but nobody believed his findings. The next person is Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson lived from 1743 to 1826. He was a brilliant thinker and a gifted writer. In 1776, Americans were unhappy about being ruled by the government of England. Jefferson was asked to write the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence is one of the most important documents in American history. In it, Jefferson wrote that all people are created equal. He said the government should be the servant of the people, not their master. Jefferson was a courageous man. He knew that the Declaration of Independence would anger the British government. He knew that if America lost its battle for freedom from Britain, he would be in trouble for the words he had written. Luckily, America won the war. Thomas Jefferson became the third president of the United States. Today we honor his mind, his talent, and his bravery. And there's a picture of him. Pretty important person, huh? Emily Dickinson. The poet Emily Dickinson lived in Amherst, Massachusetts from 1830 to 1886. Dickinson's style of poetry was different from any that had ever been seen before. When Dickinson sent her poetry to an editor to read, the editor thought that it was interesting, but he was afraid that it was too unusual and that readers would not like it. He was concerned that Dickinson's poetry would not be appreciated. He decided not to publish or print her poems unless she changed her style. Dickinson did not want to change her style of poetry. She kept writing in her own unique way. She wrote poems for friends and family. A few of her poems were published, but mostly she wrote them for herself. After Dickinson died, her sisters found hundreds of poems and had them published. At first, people did not know what to think of the poetry, but today we honor Dickinson as one of America's best writers. Because her style of writing was so extraordinary, Dickinson's life was different from the lives of other poets of her time. She was a pioneer of poetry who did not become famous until after her death. The next person is Srinivasa Ramanujan. Srinivasa Ramanujan lived from 1887 until 1920. He was born into a poor family in India. Ramanujan could do arithmetic problems in his head that were so difficult, most people could not do them on paper. Because of his abilities, he found that school was not very challenging. There were not many books about math for him to use there, and there were not many good math teachers. At the time Ramanujan lived, there were very few opportunities in India for people who were interested in mathematics. Ramanujan struggled to grow as a mathematician. Finally, he decided to write letters to some famous mathematicians in England. One of those mathematicians, G.H. Hardy, wrote back and asked Ramanujan to come to England to study. In 1914, Ramanujan traveled to England. He worked very hard with Hardy, but Ramanujan did not adapt well to living in England. The English food, the weather, the culture, they were very strange to him. Ramanujan became ill and returned to India in 1919, where he died a year later. When Ramanujan died, he left notebooks full of amazing mathematical ideas. Ramanujan is honored today as a great genius, but sadly, he was a genius who lived a difficult life. And there's a picture of him. He's really good at math. That's really cool. Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson lived from 1919 to 1972. He was an African American and he lived at a time when there was much prejudice against African American people. Robinson was an extraordinary athlete. He was talented in football, baseball, basketball, and track. At that time, only white people played baseball in the major leagues. African American baseball players played with a group called the Negro American League. In 1945, Jackie Robinson became a player with the Kansas City Monarchs, a Negro American League baseball team. However, times were changing in America. Many people thought that African Americans should play in the major leagues. Branch Rickey, president of the Brooklyn Dodgers, was amazed by Robinson's talent and invited him to join his major league team. In 1947, Jackie Robinson became the first African American to play baseball in the major leagues. It was far from easy for him. He faced a huge amount of prejudice, even from some of his teammates, because of the color of his skin. But Jackie Robinson did not give up. Today, we honor Jackie Robinson for being such a courageous pioneer. He paved the way for all of today's African American baseball players, and he used his great talent to do very important work. We have Yo-Yo Ma. Yo-Yo Ma was born in Paris in 1955. When Ma was 4 years old, his father began teaching him to play classical music on the cello. Soon it was clear that Ma had a unique musical talent. He performed in his first public recital or solo concert when he was only a small boy. When he was 9, his family moved to New York City so that he could study at the Juilliard School of Music. Ma studied hard, and during that first year in New York, he played in a concert at the famous Carnegie Hall. During his teenage years, Ma became world famous for his cello playing. There were not many pieces of classical music that had been written for the cello. Ma could have decided that there was not much more for him to learn in the world of music, but instead, he learned to play other styles of music, including folk music and traditional Chinese music. Ma makes his concert fun for audiences, and he has a way of connecting with people so that they feel involved in his music. Today, Ma still looks for exciting new ways to play his cello. He is a musical pioneer and one of the world's most important musicians. The world of music is richer because he has helped it to grow. Ma has used his amazing talent as a cello player to teach others that all kinds of music can be fun. Here's a picture of him. Venus and Serena Williams. Venus and Serena Williams are sisters and tennis champions. Venus was born in 1980 and Serena was born in 1981. The sisters grew up in Los Angeles, California. They were young girls when they learned to play tennis. Both girls were competing in tennis matches before they became teenagers. Because of their great talent, the Williams sisters had unusual childhoods. They practiced tennis for hours every day, and their father was their coach. School was also important for the Williams sisters. The girls were homeschooled, and they were good students. Between tennis and school, the sisters worked very hard. In time, all of their hard work paid off. During the late 1990s and early 2000s, both sisters began to win some of the world's important tennis tournaments. Very quickly, Venus and Serena became two of the best tennis players in the world. The sisters always supported each other, but sometimes they had to beat each other to win tournaments. It has not been easy for the Williams sisters. As children, they worked hard at tennis every day, and they have struggled with injuries throughout their careers, but their talents and hard work have earned them many rewards. Here they are. Christopher Paolini. Christopher Paolini was born in Montana in 1983. Like the Williams sisters, Paolini was homeschooled. He earned his high school diploma when he was only 15 years old. And then he decided to write a novel about a boy who becomes friends with a dragon. To prepare for his novel, Paolini read books about writing. He and his sister Angela made up 3 languages for his characters to speak. Then Paolini got to work. It took him about 3 years to write and rewrite the book until he was satisfied with it. He decided to call the book Aragon, after the boy who is the main character. First, the book was published by a small printing company, but then it caught the eye of a big publisher in New York City. When the book was published the second time, many people heard about it and it became very popular. Readers agree that it was a wonderful book with fantastic and interesting characters. Paolini was only a teenager when his first novel was published, but his writing talent has made him a star. Today, Paolini still lives in Montana. He is working on his second novel, which is also about Aragon. Paolini became a famous author at a young age. He worked hard to finish his first book, but he also made time to play and do other things that he enjoyed. Paolini remembers his childhood as a very happy time in his life. Here's a picture of him. Extraordinary Lives. People with extraordinary talents often live extraordinary lives. Their lives may be full of excitement and triumph, but sometimes they experience difficult times as well. It's not easy to be a genius or a superstar. Galileo made exciting discoveries, but his discoveries brought him suffering. Thomas Jefferson took a big risk. Emily Dickinson was not appreciated in her lifetime. Srinivasa Ramanujan could not find opportunities at home, but he was unhappy away from home. Jackie Robinson put himself in the path of great prejudice. Yo-Yo Ma and Venus and Serena Williams worked very hard as children, while most other kids played. Christopher Paolini had a normal childhood, but he worked hard too. Sometimes talented people must give up other things that they would like to do in order to reach their goals. They may feel that the world does not understand them because they live their lives differently from most people. Luckily, many people with special talents decide to work hard and be the best they can. Then the whole world has a reason to thank them. Think what a life would be like without people such as Galileo, Emily Dickinson, Jackie Robinson, and Yo-Yo Ma. We must always remember to honor their hard work and dedication. So there's some vocabulary in here, and there's some extension activities. Remember, we've done the reader's response questions before. I'm going to make sure that you have these questions for some of the bonus activities that you guys can do for next week. You guys can talk about maybe researching a character that was in the book a little further so you can find out more information about them. And we'll also go over some of the vocabulary when I'll post some of the words up from the book. I thank you for your time. I thank you for listening and for checking in. And next week, I look forward to providing more videos for you guys. So have a great weekend.